Hear me now? Okay, good.
Yes.
I said, thank you for jumping on with me. I was planning on addressing this with everybody tomorrow. Had meetings today, had meetings with the quarterback, with the offense, and some of this leaked out. So wanted to get in front of you as quick as we could after some of that leaked. But again, was planning on addressing it with you tomorrow. I did meet with the 3 quarterbacks today and inform them of the decision that we were making as a staff and where we were going with the quarterback position. As I told them and addressed it with you guys many times, I understand the quarterback position is different and there's so much attention to it that often puts a lot of pressure on the players, constantly trying to answer to it, but it is what it is. That's the position. A lot of times it's the face of the program and in front of the team, and you know, we understand that. So, I also acknowledge to the players how much I respect and care about each and every one of them, and you know, it's not a personal decision. You know, they're all 3 that were in the competition for the starting quarterback position are great young men, have done everything we asked them to do, and you know, we just simply made the best decision for our football team to win games. We all know how important that is, but really care a lot about the players, and just they've all worked extremely hard. And you know, it's often tough talking about that with the quarterbacks. Other positions, there's depth chart moves all the time. You know, after that scrimmage, we're changing guys and moving, elevating some to the ones and demoting some for a while. It happens. It's part of the game. With that being said, I did inform them that we were naming Will the starting quarterback, and that we were going to move on and you know, rotate the other 2. Beau was going to be listed second on the depth chart, was slashed with Joey. You know, continuing to compete for that position. So that's where it's at. After I met with the 3 quarterbacks and we had the discussion for some time, I wanted to talk to Joey privately, and I did that and visited with Joey and told him how much I appreciated how hard he's worked. I know he's been through this before, so I knew it would be especially tough decision, not what he wanted to hear. And so we had that discussion, had a good talk. He handled it completely professional, and you know, really appreciate him. And at that point, he did inform me that he thought it would be in his best interest to enter his name into the portal. So that should happen here soon. I did ask Joey if it was okay for me to talk to you all about that, and I never want to speak for a player. And so, you know, called him specifically after our meeting and asked him if it was okay for me to address it with you all at this time, and he said no problem. So that's where it's at, and I'll be glad to open it up for questions at this point.
Okay, Josh Moore.
Mark, I know we've joked around about this decision coming. What made now the time that, you know, it needed to be done, and what kind of made it clear to you?
Well, you know, the only time I joke around about it is because I know I'm going to get a million questions about it, but I understand. I want to be very clear on that. When you're dealing with these young people's lives, I take that very serious. And these guys work their entire life to have an opportunity to be the starting quarterback at a Power 5 program, and they all are very vested in what they do. So I would never make light of that. As far as dealing with you all and the questions, yeah, sometimes I will. But long story short, it was ready. We were ready. It was the right time. And I also wanted to, if I knew this is the decision we were going to make, I wanted to give people like Joey the opportunity to transfer and go somewhere. You know, if you wait another week, then he's trapped here. So you know, I thought it was the right, you know, decision to let him know where we stand, and he appreciated that.
Lonnie. Okay, moving on. Larry Vaught.
Yeah, Mark, what was there about Will that impressed you and the staff so quickly that you could go ahead and say, yeah, he's the guy?
Well, there's a lot of things. You know, he's been extremely efficient at running the offense. He's been at degradable reps. He's been 74%. His first throw in the stadium was a 65-yard touchdown strike for his first live play in the stadium. He has a lot of talent, and he's been doing some things very good. He's been very efficient. He's got unbelievable arm strength, and he's a big, strong guy. And he won the job.
Jeff Drummond. Jeff.
Hey, Mark, I was just wondering, and it could play off of what you just mentioned. Did the scrimmage have a lot to do with the decision, or had it already kind of been made prior to that?
It's very hard to make that decision without going into without at least getting one scrimmage in. So I don't think anybody would be comfortable making that decision. We saw what was going on. We saw the talent and we saw some things, but wanted to give all three of the guys, again, competing for the starting job, an opportunity. And they all have done some really good things through camp. But this was clear.
John Clay.
Mark, how important is it also when you've got a brand new quarterback and a brand new offense to get him as many reps as possible going into the season, rather than having to split the reps, three ways between guys competing for the job?
It is important. It's important to build that continuity with the offensive players and with the receivers and tight ends and running backs and so on. So, as I've mentioned before, I would never be pressed into that situation. You want to make the right decision first and foremost, over rushing it. But once we came to that conclusion, we felt there was no reason to delay this decision.
Josh Moore.
You mentioned that Joey and Beau for now would be kind of competing for that number 2 spot. How do you expect that to go with, I assume Joey will still be coming to practice as he's waiting to hear back in the portal. How does that work when a guy's kind of like, if he enters the portal, but hasn't found a place to go yet?
I'm sorry. You cut out on me there and you're cutting out again. Can you hear me? Yeah, there.
Oh,
See you now. Go ahead.
Sorry, Mark.
We're back to this Zoom. It was very nice getting back in front of everybody, but go ahead.
So you said Joey's entering the portal or plans to. Will he still be practicing with the team until he finds a destination? Or how does that? No. He was, he's he has to make this very quick. It's in his best interest to get to a new location prior to school starting. And if he enrolled here, that would count as a calendar year for him here, and that would set him back. That's not good for his future. Do you know because I know since he's transferred before, that immediate waiver is for guys who hasn't transferred. Do you know how that will apply in his situation?
It's my understanding that would not, I don't know. I mean, unless there's waivers that I don't know about, but it's my understanding that he would not meet that requirement, being that he already transferred once. So he would have to sit out 1 year unless he went down.
Larry Vaught.
Mark, could you just talk a little bit about Beau's reaction when you talked to him, and also just the overall team's reaction when you broke the news to them?
Beau's reaction is just like he always is. He's kind of just very steadfast in everything that he does. And that's part of, one of the great qualities that Beau has. He's very steady, does not ever get too high, does not ever get too low. And, for him, it was very business-like, just like always. And, he's worked hard, and that was part of it as well with reps and how I listed it with Beau, because if I listed Joey second and Beau third, in my opinion, or right now, that wasn't fair to Beau. Beau's done a very good job, and just because he handles things maybe one way or another, he's very strong. Each young man still deserves the proper, opportunity.
and he's earned that right to get a lot of reps with the twos.
And what about just the team reaction when you told them?
Very businesslike. Those guys always handle it the right way. They have respect for all of our players, and those guys have been there. There's probably not one guy in that room that maybe wasn't a starter, that felt at times they probably should be. We have a lot of guys in that room, and they all work hard and they have respect for each other. And these kids work hard. We try to be as fair as we can all the time, and we're always truthful with them. And Joey did appreciate that. And so, the team was very respectful.
Gary Graves.
And Mark, you were saying that the choice was clear, but did it kind of surprise you that Will, just to come in June and adapt to the system that quick and I guess establish a rhythm with receivers? Did that kind of surprise you? Just how quick it is for you to make a decision this soon?
In some ways, but in other ways it didn't. You have a pretty good idea, when you're recruiting a young man, what he's capable of. And, really in that way, it doesn't surprise me. He's a hard worker, he's unbelievably talented. And, the operation is very smooth for a guy that hasn't been here very long.
Hi, Lonnie Demery.
All right, Coach, does this expedite recruiting somewhat in the way of recruiting wide receivers? And I know you have some people that you got on the list per se. You think that helps expedite that somewhat?
Probably not. I mean, just because I name a starter, I would think they still want to see us play. So we are in a good position. We are recruiting some wideouts. We need guys that are difference makers, and we're recruiting them very aggressively, but I'm sure they probably still want to see us play.
John Hale.
Hey, Mark, sorry, I got a little late. So if you covered this already, my apologies. But
Okay.
with the transfer rule and the deadline that was put in place for immediate eligibility, do you all have a sense if the NCAA is going to be granting waivers for guys who transfer at this point to be immediately eligible, or do you have any sort of feel for that?
I really do not know, and I wouldn't want to comment on that. But that was part of my decision. If I felt like we knew this is where it was going, I felt it was the fair thing to do was to let these players know as soon as possible. At least they have an opportunity to transfer if they wanted to. If I waited one more week, they'd be trapped here, and I don't want anybody here that's not, that doesn't feel this is the right place for them.
John Clay.
Mark, you talked about some of Will's strengths. What are some things you'd like to see him work on or improve between now and the opening game?
Well, there's a lot of things. I mean, obviously we have a lot of work to do as a team. But the biggest thing is with this style of offense, it is a pro style of offense. The operation is important. We huddle, and that's very different in college football right now. But they still have a great sense of urgency. We still operate fast. I love the approach that Liam has and the different tempos that we could go with. But that takes some time. Just terminology alone, the whole operation. There was, like I mentioned it after the scrimmage, there was a few times where I'd had to call timeout, and we got time to get that cleaned up. But that's super important. Just operation, pre-snap penalties, the communication. That's very important. And then his understanding of the offense, where to go with the football. It's not perfect yet, as none of our players are game ready. That's why we have 3 weeks to get ready for the first game. I challenged everybody in our building today, and in our staff meetings and in our team meeting, and talked to the players about yesterday after the scrimmage. We have a big week this week. I want to feel 100% confident when we walk off the field next Saturday after the scrimmage, that we're game ready. We still would have a couple weeks in preparation, but I want that confidence there within our team, and Will's no different than the rest of the guys in that way.
Josh Moore.
Mark, what do you think? What made it, I guess, difficult for Joey, or maybe not difficult, maybe not the right word, but just why didn't it, I guess, work out for him here?
I'm not comfortable talking negatively about any of our players. I have great respect for Joey. And, you know, he believes he could go somewhere and be a Power 5 quarterback and difference maker. And I believe that as well.
John Wong,
Mark, who was actually involved in this decision? I assume it was you and Liam. Was there anybody else? Was it a consensus? And how much of a relief is it for you just to kind of get it out of the way?
The only relief is that I feel very clear on this decision. So in that way, I don't feel relief. I feel clarity, and that's always comfortable when you have clear decisions. To be honest with you, there wasn't much discussion. I mean, Liam and I always talk. We talk after every practice, and I watch every bit of the film, and we discuss it all the time. So that's just part of our operation. And I had some dialogue, but wasn't very long.
okay, we're gonna do the last two with Jeff Drummond and then Larry Vaught. Jeff?
Yeah, Mark, Will hasn't been with you guys for a great deal of time. Has there been a specific example or something with his teammates that convinced you this is the guy that could be the leader, that he's kind of established that with his new teammates?
That is, his presence is felt immediately. That part of it, I'm not going to give you a specific moment or anything like that, but his presence is strong. You know, he's you know, very mature young man, very intelligent. Has a great presence about him. He has great command. You know, there's that piece of it. There's the command in the huddle, and then there's also the talent in the arm. I think you guys were at one practice. I think I'm going to talk to Tony and Susan here and be glad to open it up with for you guys again one day this week. You know, it doesn't take long to see the arm talent. That's for sure. You know, so I don't know. I think I answered the question.
You did. Okay, last one with Larry Vaught.
You know, Mark, there's been some seasons you've needed more than 2 quarterbacks to get through. So where does this kind of leave you now with Kaya and Nick? What do you like about them, and how do you feel comfortable about them?
Great point. And I wanted to touch on those two. You know, feel really good with Will and Beau. Obviously we would have loved to have Joey, but I respect that and understand that completely. And that with that, Nick and Kaya have been very good. We are very encouraged by that. It's really good to see Nick out there stronger and healthy. You know, really for the first time, he's at complete, you know, full strength and is able to do what he does. You know, I reminds me of a play on Saturday. I didn't get him today. I'll have to get him tomorrow, and apologize. I blew the whistle on him on a play that he was out of the pocket, and we felt like he should have got rid of the ball at one point much quicker, which he should have. But point is, he did extend the play and threw a ball that, in hindsight, I blew the whistle, but it was a miraculous touchdown pass that he threw. And that's him. You know, he's a player. He makes plays, and he sees the game. It's very clear to him. Obviously needs some work that I just touched on, but he's one of those guys when the lights come on, he's a good football player. So I'm pleased with Nick, and Kai is going to be a very good player. You know, we feel like he's a complete player. You know, he has that prototypical size that you're looking for, and just does a lot of things well. He's just a freshman, so it'll give us an opportunity to continue to work with him.
All right, thank you guys so much for joining us quickly. I'll send out a media advisory with this week's practice information.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.